Here we go. Who the hell are you, man? Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
We are the Knights!
Hold on to your butt.
And now for something completely different.
Hello out there, and welcome to Knights of Nerdatude podcast for all things nerd. I am your host, Sean, and I'm here on the Skype hotline with...
Come in, take off your pants. It's Sam.
Damn it, he took mine. I'll just say, just to echo past sentiments, this is the way.
Oh, damn. John took mine. This is the way. I will cheers my martini glass to you, and this is Chris.
All right, so we have quite a few things to talk about today. We are going to double down on Affleck movies with The Last Duel and Tender Bar. We are going to talk some Book of Boba Fett, because something major kind of happened. We got a little bit of news, and we have a trailer that we kind of forgot about. Not really forgot about. We just had an action-packed episode last week, so it kind of like... I guess we forgot. We forgot.
We totally forgot.
Yeah, which is Moonknight. So we'll get to that in a second. But I want to start with news. This is kind of big news because deals with an actor that we, at least one of us, is obsessed with and talks about all the time, which is The Rock. I would say at least one of us is a major fan of The Rock. Am I wrong saying this?
Nope, yes. You're not wrong.
Yeah. All right. So, The Rock was talking the other day. And
what?
Said, yeah, I know, right? No. So he
to
said
a paper.
He was
or a blog.
Yeah.
Or just on everything else that he does.
Wow.
So
it's so unlike him to put himself out there.
I know. Rock for President 2024.
He's a very he keeps a lot to himself, you know.
Yeah.
So this is going to be an interactive kind of thing because there's no right answer. But he said he is currently working with people on a major video game adaptation. As he put it, the most badass video game that he's been playing for a very long time.
Forza.
So
Rampage? Because he already made that.
He already made Rampage. No, so he wouldn't say what, but he said sometime this year he will let us know what game that is and what this project is. So I'm asking you guys, what badass video game that has been around for some time would you want The Rock to be in?
I mean, the first thing that popped in my head, just because, like, the irony of it, would be, like, one of the Riddick games.
Yeah, right.
Like, I'll never work with Vin Diesel making a movie. Video game, sure.
Well, he's not making a video game. He's making a movie based on a video.
Oh, he's making a movie based on a video game.
Correct. A badass
video
game.
Then I want
that he's
Riddick even more.
Yeah, like him as Riddick.
Look, I'm like, I was thinking maybe... But this video game, but I'm way too sold on Dave Bautista being Marcus from Gears of War.
Yes,
like I'm really sold on that.
There are two games that I'm like, it's got to be this. That's one of them.
Yeah,
like it's got to be.
But I don't want that. Like Dave Bautista is just way too fitting for that.
Unless it's him and Bautista.
Yeah, but who the hell else would he be though?
I don't know.
It won't be Dom. It won't be Baird. No, it's just. No. I'm Dave Bautista. I'm sold. That's it. Let's make this movie happen. We're done. Moving on.
I mean, if they make the movie, maybe I'll finally remember what the hell happens in that game. It's on another planet, right?
No, it's on. But the thing is, you know what sucks about video games is like some of them have really good stories, and you just don't want to sit through 8 hours of gameplay. Like Gears of War, great story.
It's long. I'll give it that.
It's long.
I
love the Gears.
Seems to be a lot there.
Oh, I do too.
I love the Gears of War story.
Sam and I have both played all three. Well, the first three Gears.
There's more than that. But
Yeah.
I know that by now there's 5 plus 6 with Judgment Day.
Yeah.
But like Sam and I have played them all, or the first 3, the main story. I can tell you it's a long game, which is like, hey, it got my money's worth, so that's great. The gameplay is awesome. It's just like it's tough to really sit down and be like, what exactly is going on?
Yeah, that's the problem. It's a good gameplay, but the story itself is good, and you just want to know the story. It's like Dead Space is the same way. Dead Space, phenomenal story to me. It's like 10 hours of gameplay per game.
Yeah.
For 3+ games, and you know it. But I'm trying to think of the other one. But Gears of War is like the one that's like sticking out, even though I don't want it to happen, because I'm already sold on Dave Bautista doing it. But
would you
other-
oppose to him though? To The Rock being
yes, I would oppose. I'm not I'm not there. I'm not there. Rock is doing. Rock falls into this category right now where it's like semi-serious / comedy, and Gears is going to be a serious just action movie, sci-fi. Well, maybe sci-fi, but more action than anything.
Well, it's a sci-fi
and I don't think
action.
he falls into that. I don't think he falls into that yet. I'm still kind of in like this Rock mode where he's in comedies and / semi-serious action movies. But I'm trying to think of like
him at his best.
Yeah, I think that's him at his best. You're right. There's no other better way to describe that. But I'm just trying to think of like what other games out there that are like we already have the Halo stuff. That's already coming out.
Yeah,
He's
that was
he's not
like
in that.
no, that was like one of the things that popped in my head. I was like, Halo. Oh, wait, no, they're already doing a TV show.
See, I don't think he would be in Halo though, because like he would have to be in the costume the whole time.
Yeah, unless he just plays a Spartan, kind of like Halo Reach.
Yeah, it's like no costume games. So or no helmet games at least.
Right.
That'd be great if like he played like a hunter or an elite. Like he really zagged and played a Covenant
he was the
character.
arbiter.
Yeah.
He just plays the arbiter.
yeah.
He's a brute.
But what other stuff is out there? Like Call of Duty? No.
Yeah, like
let's stay away from that.
that's- yeah,
like
that's-
World
We
of
need a
Warcraft?
story.
No.
Already did a Warcraft movie.
Elder Scrolls? No.
Probably not.
Too much.
You know, I'm
story.
trying to think what else. And like
I
GTA,
do have one.
maybe.
Yeah, but I do have
I
an
feel like if
alternative.
they were gonna do a GTA movie, that would have like kicked that idea would have like kicked around by now. You know?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it would have happened as a movie been released, but like there would have definitely been like, oh, they're gonna make Vice City or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think this game is big enough, but maybe Titanfall. But
So you want to hear the
what's-
other movie?
what's your other-
Or
yeah.
the other game that I think it could be is God of War.
All right. Yeah.
Him being Kratos.
yeah, I can see it, but I can't. Like he's a little bit darker than The Rock can kind of be.
The Rock already played Hercules, so
So
No,
yeah.
but that's a joke movie.
So he already
That's
made
not-
that movie. So bam.
yeah, essentially.
Yeah, dude. I don't know.
I
mean, I can see it. I can see it.
I think
going
it's
down that
I think
road.
it's either Gears or God of War. I really do.
But I'm like I don't know if you feel this way, but I'm 100% sold on Dave Bautista. Like it fits way
I
too
am.
well.
Where are you getting that Dave Bautista's in the Gears of War movie?
Like they did like a one of those fan sketches of him as the actual character, just with like a hat and scars and stuff. And I'm like, this is way too close. And just the attitude that he has demonstrated over the movies that he's done fits Marcus
Yeah.
more so than really anybody I can kind of put in at this point. So at that point, I'm just like, I'm sold. And he says he's willing to do it, so that's half the battle
right.
too.
Yeah.
So I mean, number one, I want this. But can we go Halo for a second here?
We have a trailer coming out this weekend.
Trailer comes out. I think
Is it
during
this weekend or-
championship- I think it's
Yeah, it's next week. It's this upcoming weekend.
championship weekend.
We
Like
get a teaser trailer?
No, we get a
Or
full
we
trailer. Full
Sunday.
Trailer.
So it's
So now we
Sunday.
have
So
a
it's
full
championship weekend.
Yep.
We get a
We get a
trailer
trailer.
for Halo, and I'm not gonna lie, guys. I don't care. Just give it to me. I'm sold.
Oh, I want to
I'm
see.
watching this.
I'm so curious about.
Well, it's
like,
already
what they're doing.
there has been a trailer.
No,
Oh, please.
not a
That's
trailer.
that's not. No,
Okay.
that doesn't count.
You get to see a little peek.
I mean,
Yeah, a little, but that's what they call a teaser, and that's a true teaser.
Yeah,
That's not
that is a true teaser. Just like Lord of the Rings releasing
that's not
Rings
even
of
a
Power.
teaser.
that's a
No,
teaser.
that's a teaser.
That's a
That's a
title
teaser.
release.
No,
That's
that
not
is a
even-
teaser.
That's
That-
that is quite
that is what
literally
I-
the definition of a teaser.
Yeah.
It's to get your
It's-
get
yep.
your palate wet for
Yep.
what you're about to ingest.
Yeah,
That's not even a teaser.
it's a
it is.
teaser. I
Lower than a
consider.
teaser.
All right, we're gonna have this is gonna be a side discussion, possibly a YouTube discussion of what is a teaser and what is a trailer.
We should do
Well,
that.
to get back on topic, like the thing I have an issue with, like a Halo movie, is this criticism I heard of the Halo games, which is they're like 90% setting and like 10% actual story.
I mean, to me, I feel like that's conducive for a show.
I don't
You
know.
know?
Yeah, I mean, look at Doom.
Like you need
that was
stuff
90%
to-
setting and 10%.
Yeah, but there was
story.
actually characters and stuff
Yeah,
actually going
sure.
on.
Whatever.
Was there stuff going on though?
Look,
Yes.
we'll get to it. We're going to talk about a TV show in a little while, where I quite literally was like fishing through my phone to play the Halo theme song as we were watching it. So we'll get to that. But
We'll get to that. Any final thoughts on The Rock and what video game he should be in?
no, I'm curious.
Oh,
what did
yeah.
he say this year?
I've got my pick.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, John.
I think it's more of a zag. How about he does a Candy Crush movie?
That's,
Oh, you're talking like the emoji movie type thing, where it just voices over.
that's a
Yeah,
weird
well-
to describe Candy
you know
Crush
what
as
it
a
probably
badass
is?
game.
It's probably like Angry Birds 3 or something like that.
No.
Yeah, you know what? That's probably what it is. It's a freaking voiceover.
I heard Scorsese's going to direct that. Anyway,
We killed Chris.
It's gonna be 3 hours long, and they're gonna de-age The Rock for no reason.
Oh God.
then they're going to de-muscle the Rock.
Is it
It's gonna be
possible?
like,
Do you have enough green screen for that?
Well, yeah, it's like Captain America, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Anyway, anything else in news?
Not that I can think of. That I was going to throw it to you guys. You guys have anything?
Okay. Next week, I think we'll do a movie preview. It's just
Ooh.
it's triggering me now because I saw in the news I don't know if is it Mission Impossible was pushed back like 75 times. So we'll get to that. I think next week we'll do a preview. It's about time. We haven't done one yet for this year. We'll do a movie preview.
Okay, sounds good. I think there might be Oscar nominations next week or the week after. So
I think voting is this week. Yeah.
okay, yeah. So got some award season stuff's going to start to heat up a little bit too. But,
I actually have a question for you guys. Because we're in the thick of the playoffs right now, NFL playoffs, and yes, this has something to do with Hollywood. Have any of you guys seen anything about that movie coming on Netflix called Home Team about Sean
With
Payton? With
Yeah.
Kevin James as Sean Payton, one of the worst casting choices I think of all time.
So there was a lot of Sean Payton leaving the Saints this week.
Yeah,
A lot of people
signed by
just
my
posted
team.
the pic of him of Kevin James, which I laughed at, but then saw 1,000 times. So, yeah, it's questionable.
It's
There's
like
also this other movie called National Championship with
Curse.
J.K. Simmons in it. That's like, I mean, it's not really anything, but it's just there's so many random movies that come out that like have actual people in them that like no one ever like. There's zero buzz or whatever. It's just like, oh, okay, I guess football. I don't know.
What was the Kurt Warner story one?
Underdog.
Oh, that one too.
Yeah, that had a lot of
American
people.
Underdog or
I was
something
just
like that.
seeing that the story because there were actors in it, of course, but you look at the production team and the director and you're like, oh, this has no one attached to it. Like this can't be good. And I also felt like, oh, is it going to be one of those like preachy kind of like a religious studio doing this, where it's like everything has to do with God, like the God's Not Dead movies? Like, is it going to go down that line? Like,
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it too, question to the group, is it too early to do a movie like that? Because I just keep thinking about football movies, and there's The Express, which it was done, 30 years later, and it was good. But then they
was done like 60 years later, wasn't it?
I don't know. Either way, it was like a huge gap. Whereas you had like the Draft Day movie, where it was just literally 4 or 5 years after the RG3 thing, and it was awful.
No, but the Draft Day is not.
It's not real. Yeah, it's just.
Oh please, come on.
No,
what? It's about.
Really not.
It's about.
It was supposed to be about Buffalo originally.
Yeah, wasn't it? It ended up being about Cleveland.
Yeah, because I don't know.
It's centered around Cleveland, but if I remember correctly, there was a draft when they traded a bunch of first round.
It
does not matter.
No,
I tied this out. I could tie this out to only one scenario that had actually happened. Anyway, do you think
give it to me, Alex Jones?
Do you think it's too early to do like a Kurt Warner movie?
He's in the Hall of Fame.
That doesn't mean anything.
But he has no. He had an interesting enough comeback story from in the late 90s. I mean, that was over 20 years ago.
See, I think as soon as they retire, it's like fair game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, but it's
I kind of get you, Chris, where it's like, give me some time to breathe. You know, come at me with this like when I've kind of forgotten about Kurt Warner.
Yeah, and it's not like he hasn't been on. He's been on shows and commentary networks and things like that. Like, he's been there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been. Yeah, he works for NFL Network, or did for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Do you want to just like off him so he can make this movie already? Like what?
No, but I think I mean, in this particular scenario, it feels like it would have been better if I just haven't seen him for at least a decade, just on TV, doing whatever. They're like a gap,
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying.
It would have made the story feel like a little bit more elevated in the sense that, this is nostalgic to me.
It doesn't feel so much like a cash-in.
Yes.
Even though that's exactly what it is.
But I feel like it's set 20 years ago. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I still think...
not even... more than 20... Almost 25 years ago, John. Because the Rams Super Bowl against the Titans was what, 2000?
It was 98.
Or 99.
99.
Hey guys,
what?
We're not a sports podcast apparently.
No, we're not. But this is a movie that we're talking about, so suck it, Chris.
Well, it sounds like we're talking about who's more now or some shit like that. The time has to pass. So
right.
We're
we went down this tangent.
Sam's going to start doing a Stephen A. Smith voice, and we're going to have to cancel the podcast.
Yeah, we're going to have to at that point. I can't stand him.
No one can.
Those podcast fans who don't know who Stephen A. is, just watch ESPN.
Oh, God. Remember when he was the normal guy next to Skip?
He was normal?
Yeah, when he was next to Skip, he was.
I'm sorry. He's forever... Well, to me, at least, he's forever been in.
What's your favorite Stephen A. Smith clip?
Oh, when he's talking about how... oh, God, what's his face from L.A., the coach from L.A., the famous one, and the Bulls.
Phil Jackson?
Phil Jackson, when he went to the Knicks, and the first thing that he did was he signed Lamar Odom. And
who was on crack?
Yeah, that is the best one.
Yeah, that's my vote, too.
Yeah.
Whenever I push the power off button, that's when...
Oh, come on.
I
Cowboys fan.
I can't stand Stephen A. Cannot stand
All right.
No one can.
Well,
we're going down a dark hole.
I guess
right
yes. We're going on a very dark and nightly path.
Okay, go ahead, John.
Well, our forgotten story of last week, a topic near and dear to Sean's heart, yet we skipped over it.
I know.
Unfortunately, is a trailer starring Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke, and it's a Marvel TV show called Moonknight.
Yeah.
About a character who I would venture to say not exactly widely known.
No.
Which, we're just at this point now where, we've made all the popular people movies. So now we're gonna go for the little, the what do I want to call it? The choice cuts.
Yeah.
Not to say they're not going to be enjoyable, but just a little more obscure. And Moonknight is definitely up that alley. So Sean, talk to us about the trailer. Talk to us about Moonknight.
All right, so the trailer that we finally got a trailer where we get to see the costume in action. He's just so the way you would describe Moon Knight as a character is he's essentially Batman, but with split personalities.
He's a psychopathic
Yes.
superhero.
Right, but he has multiple personalities or split
Schizophrenic,
personalities.
yeah.
He has multiple, like literally,
multiple
like you see it in the
disorder.
in the trailer where he's like, "That's not my name." Where like his actual name is Mark Spector, but like he's got multiple personalities, and he is a soldier who was left for dead, who was rescued by the Egyptian god Khonshu, and brought back to life to become the Fist of Khonshu. Which is what Moon Knight is in the comics. You get a brief glimpse of Khonshu, which anybody who's a fan of the Moon Knight comics, who saw that brief glimpse of Khonshu when he's like freaking out and he sees something in the dark and it looks like it's a guy with a giant bird skull for a head. Everyone who's a fan of the comics is freaking out because bravo. You got Khonshu right.
Which, let's just say, Moon Knight is not the biggest seller of comics.
No.
There's not a big fan base.
No, it is definitely not.
Like the character itself provides a different type of Marvel character, which is, I think, kind of what Marvel needs at this point. I think this is kind of one of those characters that falls into that perfect scenario where there is such a change from the standard Captain America, Iron Man hero that Marvel's trying to get away from their formula a little bit, and I think this is one of those characters that falls right into their wheelhouse. They did it with WandaVision. Granted, we've seen her and Vision and all them before, but this is one of those characters that falls right into that. Let's do something different. Let's give you something else, and you can decide whether or not he's a good or a bad guy. Yeah. Because it's got to be that. Whether or not you think he's a good or a bad guy, it's probably gonna be good. But we're getting into that. I don't want to say he's like a C level character, but
no, I would say B level.
Yeah, I'm thinking more B, but we're getting into that stuff where it's gonna be cool because the characters are so different. Like She-Hulk is gonna be fun because it's different.
Yeah.
Even Ironheart.
Yeah.
Gonna be different. I don't care what you say. It's Iron Man, yes, but it's gonna be different. So, this is I'm sold on this. Oscar Isaac, sure, I'll take it. It looks interesting. It's gonna be different. It's gonna be new. It's gonna be Marvel. I'm in.
So I think, Chris, you sort of mentioned this of I think to me some of the more impactful or some of the better Marvel products we've had. I don't want to say products, TV shows / movies. I'll say it like that. Have been kind of their own wrinkle, and this one definitely looks like it's a psycho thriller sort of thing. And we haven't really gotten that yet with Marvel, and I'm kind of in. I like what I see so far. Again, the trap we always fall into these things if there's 60% kind of being a genre-y kind of movie, and then 40% is people shooting energy beams at each other. I'm not looking forward to the 40%.
Luckily, with Moon Knight, he doesn't do that.
Does he shoot psychic beams?
No. Nothing.
Kind of beams?
Nope. He beats the living shit out of you with his hands.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna.
He's
just
Batman.
Be ready. You're
He's
gonna
Batman.
get a little Marvel formula. You're gonna get a little Marvel formula in there because
yeah.
that's just how they work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But John, the way to think of Moon Knight is he's Batman, but he doesn't wear black because he wants his enemies to see him in the dark. That's why he wears all white.
Thoughts on the costume, Sean? I liked it. I thought it was cool.
I don't mind it, but I feel like it looks way too much like he's just covered in wraps like a mummy.
Yeah, but that's not
so
crazy.
There's so many costumes to choose from for Moon Knight. I'm very interested to see if Mr. Knight comes out at all.
Please, Mr. Knight was his father.
Well, it's like Mr. Knight is it's just like him in all white, like a white suit, like completely white, but with the mask on, and he runs his church basically like that. So obviously we might see it towards the end, but I doubt it.
Like, isn't there an element to this character where it's like you're not entirely sure if like the whole Khonshu thing was real or he's just crazy?
Kind of, but Khonshu did try taking over the world somewhat recently in the comics, so he's pretty real.
All right, okay. But I hope they play that up a bit where you're just like,
Yeah.
you're not entirely sure, like...
Yeah. Everything could be a figment of his imagination.
Because, like, he's clearly has mental issues.
Right.
But, like, what is real and what isn't?
Right. And like I said, John, like, don't expect the energy beams and whatnot. Like, that's not who Moonknight is. He fights... Because, John... We played D&D on the weekends, and my character is loosely based on Moonknight.
He's literally called Moonknight.
I couldn't think of
anything.
anything.
Shut the fuck up at all about Khonshu.
Anyways, no, but like that's kind of like who he doesn't like shoot laser beams. He doesn't fly through the air. Like he doesn't do anything. It's all like hand-to-hand combat. But what he does is his goal is to save the people of his area from those things that go bump in the night, mainly werewolves and vampires, which there was, a couple of years ago, we got an announcement that we have a vampire hunter coming to a movie or TV show with Mahershala Ali playing Blade.
We might get first looks at Mahershala Ali,
He might
too.
actually show up in this show because they have a common enemy. We already got his voice in Eternals. He might actually show up in this property.
Now,
Would not be shocked.
no,
I would not.
Sean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the exact line, but like, what's your money on him saying the line? Was it Dracula, bitch, better have my money or something like that? Was that? I've seen that from the comics, where he's just like, it's like, you better have my money, Dracula.
Oh my god.
That's such a deep pull. It might be in there.
The fact that Dracula is in Marvel Comics is kind of like a slap in the face.
Oh, it really is. It really is. Like, if you ever start reading the comics and you see that, you're just like, what the hell?
Yeah,
am I
why?
looking
Yeah.
at?
Why is Dracula here? Like
Public
what the hell?
domain.
Yeah, I know. Just like Winnie the Pooh. It's true.
I'm in. I think we're all in. It sounds like we're all in. Yeah. March release, by the way.
Yep, coming soon.
After Six Nations Rugby. So,
I mean, what is your guys' takes on Oscar Isaac's British accent?
I don't care. He's good. I'll take it.
I feel like, I'm like such in like the trust tree with Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
Like, just him being and stuff is like, it'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to depict whether or not not Ben Affleck, damn it. What's his name?
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon can do like a British, French, English accent. Like,
I was going to say, based on everything we've talked about today, it's not the worst British accent I've heard, based on what we're talking about today, but we'll get into that later.
Pretty soon, in fact.
Why don't we just do it now?
No.
I think we definitely got to talk about. Let's do the Affleck double feature first.
Really? Okay.
And then we'll do.
Why
Boba
don't
Fett.
you guys?
We'll do
why
Boba
don't you
Fett
guys
later.
talk Tender Bar first?
Yeah. So I believe just Chris and I.
I saw it.
Sam.
Sam.
Good.
Three of us saw a nice little movie called Tender Bar, The Tender Bar, which was directed by George Clooney, co-starring Ben Affleck, and who's the mom?
Lily Robb.
Lily Robb, who you might remember from Captain America?
American Horror Story, too.
Yeah. Been in some stuff.
And Ty Sheridan, who's in Ready Player One.
Oh, right. Ty Sheridan, who's
And Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere.
Christopher Lloyd coming out of nowhere. And,
Damn.
I'm glad he's I think something happened, but it seems to be like okay.
Well, he's
Just
really old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I remember he's in an episode of The Connors, that show that's still going on, the Roseanne spinoff. And he looked old. So.
Yeah. He's the fun grandpa in this.
Yeah.
Kind of just like fits a mold. I don't know. Movie kind of felt like a little bit, I don't want to call it like a throwback or whatever. Pretty, you've probably seen this one before. You know? It's not really like groundbreaking, but I thought it was like a nice movie. I don't think we're gonna have like a lot of opinions on this. One thing going into it, George Clooney for me, not really a great director, or at the very least, the movies he's done aren't usually that great as a director. Much better of an actor in my mind. This was fine, but I think there's some weird. So this is based on a true story. This is, I'm guessing, just based on this guy's memoirs. Who the main character essentially grows up to be a writer / journalist for the Times. It's like a coming of age story, or I guess coming of age, boy growing up kind of thing.
Fatherless, trying to find a.
Right. He doesn't really have a father figure, or doesn't really have his father involved in his life. So Ben Affleck has his uncle. His mom moves back in with her folks, and Ben Affleck sort of becomes like a father figure to him. And, it's like, it's kind of, it's touching at times. And I think Ben Affleck's great in it, but, just like a nice movie. I don't really have a lot of takes on this one.
For me, it's like, it's fine. It's just so bland.
Yeah.
It's just like, the characters are all kind of bland and inoffensive, and everybody's kind of just doing bland stuff, living out their bland lives.
Like, the performances aren't bad. I think Ty Sheridan's doing all right. Ben Affleck, I really liked Affleck in this. I thought he was good. I just didn't think there was like a lot of a story to like hold on to.
Yeah.
There's this whole subplot with the kid, Ty Sheridan, that involves, this sort of love story with this girl that you're really just like thrusted into, and you never understand like why he's so like obsessed with her. I mean, other than the fact that it's just like something he can't have. Because it's never like, she has the like charming, like, oh yeah, of course he'd want to be with her. It's more like, oh, here's a girl who slept with me and then decided didn't want to anymore. Like, that's really it. And that takes up a lot of time.
That does take up a lot of time.
It's kind of, it just becomes a little like aimless at times, and like I said, nice movie, but doesn't really do much. Chris, do you have any takes?
No, I'm agree with everything you guys said. This movie falls into the scenario where everything is acted well. It was, they did a good job. It just falls not apart, but like is lesser of a movie because of the story itself.
Yeah. The story's just not
and it's
that interesting, or like the framing of it wasn't like right. Like, to me, this is one where like it just sort of ends.
Yeah, you
like the resolution isn't that great. He's like, oh, I guess I am a writer now. Whatever. It's okay. Gonna drive away.
What's the previous hour and 45 minutes been all about?
Yeah,
I have no idea.
One of the better things is that yes, this was an hour and 45, and that's like fine. That's fine. But I mean, look, in all the movies that we've watched recently, I'm not gonna lie, like we needed a feel good story. I don't want to say this was it, but it wasn't it. So it's just,
I didn't feel good at the end of this. I just felt kind of bored.
Yeah. If anything, but you didn't feel bad though. Like you didn't feel good. You didn't feel bad.
I didn't feel bad.
Not a downer.
I didn't feel bad. I just felt kind of numb. Like I didn't feel anything.
Yeah, but in truth, we've well, at least the movies that I've been adding to the 2021 list, it's just been really like sad and almost depressing. So I'm kind of happy for like movies like Coda where it was feel good, and then this, which is just kind of, yeah, sure, okay, I'll take it. Didn't make me feel anything. Like I was actually impressed by Brad Pitt. Damn it, Ben Affleck in this movie. I was actually impressed by that. And I don't know. I mean, it was worth it to me. Hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's a decent watch, and it's like, watch it with your girl, kind of. Like, like you could watch, like, it's like a more, I don't know, not like it's a romance movie, but it's like a nicer movie.
Yeah,
it was a nostalgia movie. It was a nostalgia movie.
I'm in the boat of you could skip this. This doesn't give you anything.
Yeah, unless, like, it's only, like, not skippable to me if you're, like, an Affleck guy.
Yeah.
And I happen to be one, so, like...
there's so many better coming-of-age, feel-good movies out there that you can watch. You don't have to watch this.
Yeah.
Was filmed locally. Was filmed on the North Shore. Like Coda. Even though Coda's a lot better.
It takes place in Long Island. What I didn't like is that no matter how much I looked at Ben Affleck, I 100% thought he was doing a Boston accent or like a Southie accent. Little did I realize that it was a Long Island accent. And granted, there are similarities, but there's a lot of differences. Particularly living in New York for 5 years, but it's just like I could not help for the life of me. I thought this movie took place in Southie. For the longest time, up until like I think I saw a New York plate. I'm just like, what am I doing here? And then I paused the movie and looked it up, and sure enough, it was Long Island.
I was surprised it was Long Island when they finally sort of they talk about it or something, or like he's going to like a Mets game or something.
Yeah. I remember them mentioning the Mets, and I'm like, oh, so this is just like I've heard them mentioning the Mets, and I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, in the back of my mind, I always imagined this is what every Mets life is like. Every Mets fan. This is their life.
Probably. Probably.
Like deadbeat dad. Even the stuff with the dad, like the resolution there was like...
It's like, all right.
Great. Yeah. That's the problem when, like, sometimes you do, like, too true of a, like, you don't Hollywoodize a movie enough.
Mm-hmm.
Make it, like, dramatic or whatever. It doesn't, just kind of like, all right. All right, let's not dwell on this too much longer because I think Last Duel's got more on the bone, and Sean also saw that one.
Are we rating the Tinder bar here?
Yeah,
of course. I think I'm going to give it a solid 7.1.
All right.
I'll give it a 6.8.
I'm tossing this a 7-8.
Oh, okay.
We're all over.
Yeah, literally.
We're all over. I think I'm just scaled a little bit higher just for the nostalgia value of the time period. It's a little bit more for me than it for you.
When is the time period? I'm sorry, I wasn't really paying attention.
70s to 80s.
It was 84 when he graduated, 85 when he graduated college. So.
All right, so right around when we were born.
So, like, almost all of it happens before you were born?
Right before, but
that's
stuff was a little like I don't know. I just remember some of the stuff.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that's kind of weird being like, I remember before I was born.
No. Like some of the carryover stuff, like the way you were dressed and all that stuff, like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even though you were born then, your parents still dressed that way for a long time. So.
Right.
Well, yeah, up until like 93.
Oh yeah, the 90s changed everything with MC Hammer and all
Parachute pants.
Parachute pants. Yes.
Did you see that like 90s fashion is coming back in style?
Dude,
look,
like,
I don't.
like always
I leave the fashion up to the wife, and she lets me know what I can or cannot wear. So
really, I wear sweatpants daily. So
that's. I mean, yes. During COVID times, we'll discuss fashion later once we actually.
Oh no, this is.
We should. That should be the YouTube, by the way. The YouTube channel should just be us doing fashion.
Because remember, Chris, this has nothing to do with COVID. I go to work in sweatpants every day.
Sean, wearing sweatpants every day is less about like, oh, you have poor fashion sense, as it is, should I be worried about you?
Yeah.
It's like you are showering, right? Like
I shower every morning. I brush my teeth every day. It's fine. I eat one meal a day. No.
Oh my. Okay.
Anyway,
There's going to be no segue here.
No.
2021's The Last Duel.
You know who doesn't brush their teeth?
Yeah, exactly. So we got a little bit of Ben Affleck double feature here. Reviewing The Last Duel, which I saw in theaters back in October, November?
October, I believe.
October, but is recently landed upon HBO Max.
And Hulu. And Hulu.
And Hulu?
Because it's technically owned by Disney.
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
it is on Hulu.
So there you go, folks. No excuse now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this movie, which I forget if I even talked about the first time around.
You didn't.
Essentially, what it is this medieval tale of 3 different perspectives around, Matt Damon, who plays this French nobleman, his wife, and Adam Driver, who's this sort of
Squire.
I don't think
He's a squire.
Noble. Yeah,
He's a
like a
squire.
squire who, is like in with the Duke, who's played by Affleck. So this is directed by Ridley Scott, written by Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and Nicole Holofcener, which kind of makes sense as they're sort of lining up with each of the stories.
And it's
or each of the perspectives.
based off of a book,
Right.
which is also based off of true events.
Correct. As it was The Last Duel, reason for which is centering around an accusation, which doesn't really become an accusation so much, of rape of Adam Driver to Matt Damon's wife, played by, I can't think of
Jodie Comer.
Jodie Comer, who you might... I think she's
She's-
in one of the Star Wars movies for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, The Rise of Skywalker as Ray's mom. But she was also in Free Guy, another 2021 movie, which apparently is actually pretty good. But we'll
Yeah.
get into
Yeah, also in this other show called Killing Eve, which is on BBC America, which is okay, but anyway. She's great in this. I really liked this movie. I thought it was pretty good, one of my favorites of the year. The thing that I found very interesting is that it's pretty funny for the topic that it is.
Wait, what? I didn't get that.
Oh, let the man speak.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, okay. I mean, not that, obviously, but, all of the Affleck scenes... So, Ben Affleck is in this movie, like, playing the character in Boiler Room, but, like, in, the 14th century.
See, I put it as Ben Affleck showed up and were like, be yourself. Because,
Yeah.
Be yourself.
well, like,
Having
think...
the time of his life.
Think, like, 2 years ago when he was, like, after his marriage, like, fell through, and apparently he was a heavy alcoholic, and he was, like, sleeping with women, like, half his age. Like, that's basically the character he plays in this movie.
Yes.
He's always drunk and always having sex with younger ladies.
Oh, and I loved it. There's other things too of like the triple perspective and it being different. Like you realize like Matt Damon's like actually an idiot, who's very like incompetent and just like knows how to be a fighter and stuff like that. But I liked it. I think like on a rewatch it kind of feels a little longer, but I thought it was great. And then on top of that, it's Ridley Scott, so you got these great battle scenes in there, including the duel at the end. I like some of the stuff more at the beginning. Like there's this one scene where they're like in the middle of the forest in Scotland, and Anyway, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure how you guys felt though. How what everybody else think?
All right. Who wants to take it next?
Look, I'll take it next.
All right, go ahead.
I mean, this was a good recommendation. I'll give you that. It is Ridley Scott, so you know what you're kind of getting in for. It was a long movie.
2.5 hours.
Long
2.5
movie.
hours.
It felt longer. Truthfully, it felt longer. There's no way you can say you can't acknowledge that. That said, I do like how it was kind of done in a 3-view format where it's essentially you as the viewer are the juror, and you don't really acknowledge that until the end of like the first as seen by. I think they phrased it as seen by
The
or
truth
as told,
told
by.
by.
Yeah,
The truth
whatever
told
it
by.
is. You don't really notice that until the end of that first kind of chapter, and I like how they did that. I really do. But the movie itself was long. The movie itself was long, and it was another one of those like 13th century or 14th century period pieces. You have all the costumes and whatnot and things like that. Not gonna lie, kind of got a little bored with some of it. Mostly just the exposition of the time period. I didn't really like that. Just because, you've seen it once, you've seen it all the time. And granted, that's just part of movie making. But the fight at the end was so well done that it actually had my heart rate getting up. I don't know why. I have no idea why. But it's just 2 hours of blandness. Not blandness, but just this movie you're trying to trogging along through. And then you get this fight at the end where it's just oh my god, this is great. And everybody did a good job acting, sold on everything. Adam Driver's a dick. Matt Damon's a dummy who only wants pride. This girl is the smartest person in the world. And Ben Affleck is just being himself, I guess. I don't know. Whatever.
He's like a frat boy.
He's a frat boy. Yeah. I don't want to say himself, because that's probably...
He's like a rich asshole.
To quote Sam, who quoted Ben Affleck, "Come in and take off your pants."
He's portraying quite literally the definition of what you hear about on History Channel now about Roman emperors who just indulge in orgies of 40 people. That's what he's playing. And I don't know, everything comes together pretty well in the end. And at the end, you're supposed to be happy, but you're really not. You're just reflecting on just women's lives in the 14th century, and it's all summed up by this. I forget what his name is, but he's one of the priests or clerics, and he's just this is science. It's just this whole movie is just summed up by that one statement.
He says, if the woman doesn't enjoy and come to climax during sex, then she cannot get pregnant because that's what science says.
It's just science. The whole movie is summed up in that one statement.
Well, there's that, and there's also the scene where they're talking about how him doing the duel and how if he loses and God says that she's lying, then she dies because she is property, and that's how they take care of property.
Yeah, and I mean that says more about the time than anything else. But it's just
it is interesting how by the time you get to the end, you don't really know who to root for, because you're really no more enamored with Matt Damon than you really don't like Adam Driver, obviously.
Yeah, but you don't like Matt Damon either.
Right. No, and you're well, yeah, but I don't want Jodie Comer to die. She's the only, only likable character in this whole thing.
Exactly.
But that means Matt Damon has to win for that to happen. So it's
and that leads
conflicted.
And that leads more to
some feelings for once.
Yeah, that leads more to the you don't know really how to feel at the end of this. You're happy that he won because she lives, but you're just looking at him. I mean, it's all summed up in kind of the final shot where he's just being cheered on the horseback, and she's just following. It's just... I mean, whatever. I liked it. I think it was interesting. It was fun, but it's way too long. Way too long. Who's
Sam?
next?
All right. I didn't really particularly enjoy this movie.
Okay.
I thought her story was good. I like that perspective of what's it like to be a medieval noblewoman, and how she's kind of risking everything to make this accusation and all of that. But it definitely felt like it had three writers, because the dialogue in the first two stories was not very good, and at worst just downright creepy. Like,
What do you mean? Like creepy how?
like in like Matt Damon's story, he kept talking like he's like some like neckbeard nice guy.
Well, yeah, but that's
Like
but
I
that's sort of
understand,
inherent.
I understand like that's well, it's the period and that stuff, but it's like, yeah, but that still comes off as creepy.
It's also from
Yeah.
his perspective too.
Right.
I know, but it's like, did we really need his perspective? That's
Yeah, that's
that's
the whole
another
point.
That's the whole point.
that's
I mean,
another
that's the whole
thing
point of
though.
the
But
movie.
like, did we really need his perspective or Driver's perspective? Like,
Well, that's
see,
the
mean,
point. I mean,
I
this
think
is
that's the
kind
point
of
of
based
that.
on a true story in the sense that, yes, two guys dueled based off of the rape of one woman, and to this day, it's still debated whether or not she told the truth.
Well, to me, the most interesting part of this is that, so you see Adam Driver's thing before you see Jodie Comer's thing, and it's shocking how little, to our eyes, how little like his side of the story doesn't look like really bad. Like there's definitely like it, looks worse when it's like her, but like it still looks pretty bad.
yeah,
With like
his story. I was watching that. And I was just like, this may not be rape, but it's in the same zip code as rape.
yeah.
Yeah, she didn't.
It's not
She
a
didn't
great
complain about it or something.
She
like
did
that.
say no at one point in his story, so. Eh,
Doesn't exactly look like she wants this to happen.
yeah.
Yeah. So
It's just I just didn't enjoy those two stories. I felt like
Never.
just creeped out by them, and I
Kid-
felt they were kind of unnecessary.
Can never seeing Adam Driver sex scene be on my bucket list.
Oh, and that reminds me. Speaking of an Adam Driver sex scene, like why is Ben Affleck here? Like
Why?
why is his character
Oh,
here?
in
Like-
the orgy, the first orgy.
Like,
Are you
he,
kidding
he
me?
feels like he's in a different movie. Like, especially like that
Sip,
part of the
sip. No, okay. So I explained it to my boss. Watching this movie, the first story, you're like, oh, this is rated R because it's of graphic violence and what the thing is. Then it goes to Adam Driver, and they're like, all right, so let's hear his story. First time you see Ben Affleck, fuck is every other sentence. The dialogue is so out of place in the entire movie.
Well,
Yeah.
it's perfect. I mean, look, they would be talking, Middle French. Like,
Right, but like his dialogue is so out of place in this movie during that storyline.
Yeah.
Like he says fuck so much that it's very distracting.
It is.
Like because
it's shocking when you hear it.
Yeah,
You're just
you're-
like,
you're
it
over-
just
you're
knocks
like-
you off. And
yeah.
You're like, wait.
you're like an hour into this movie and he drops like 4 F-bombs in one sentence. It's like, what? Like, why is he talking like this? This is so weird. It's so odd. It's so out of place.
Yeah, like everybody else is talking in this like very proper, like kind-ish, Shakespeare-ish kind of way, and then he just shows up and he's like, yo, bro, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, seriously, like the way he spoke compared to everybody else was so different. And it was very distracting to me.
But he does. I think he mostly talks like that though when he's like it's just him and Driver. Like they have this whole thing where he's got like a dinner party. I don't think he's like dropping F-bombs there. So like it's clearly more of a comfort thing. But it is. I'll give you this that it is. It does feel. I mean, obviously the whole thing's going to be anachronistic, but like him dropping F-bombs is also like. Yeah, it's a little
like,
weird, but to me it worked. But.
It would have been fine if like in Matt Damon's story, like 1 or 2 F-bombs were dropped, and it'd be like that's fine.
Yeah, just ease us into this.
Right. It's
Instead
just
of him just. But I think that's like also just who he is too. Like Matt Damon sees himself as like incredibly noble and just and like this larger than life.
Yeah, but like nobody else drops an F-bomb but Ben Affleck.
yeah, it's very odd. Such an odd choice for dialogue.
Like even when they're in Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like when like Matt Damon just storms off and he's like, "Heaven and earth." Because that, like, I don't know, like I see that, when so you don't really even see that with Matt Damon's story. He's just explaining it to his wife.
Right.
And then you see Adam Driver's story, and he just comes off like such an idiot, just like a blabbering fool the whole time. I don't know. I guess I just really enjoyed that part. I think like if you were to rewatch it, it's like way funnier, and maybe just like for whatever reason, the first time I watched that, I got that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely not a movie you're going into expecting like a lot of laughs. But like the Adam Driver, let me just say, 80% of the Adam Driver story is like hilarious, and then 20% is like incredibly not hilarious.
What about 20% you're talking about?
The very beginning.
That battle scene at the very beginning, not fun.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Very serious. All those people dying, that was horrible.
Which,
Sam, do you
speaking
have
of the battle scenes, like there was just another part of that I was like, does everyone have high blood pressure?
Oh yeah, let's like.
Oh, the blood squirts.
Yeah, I was like, I get you're slicing people open. There's gonna be blood, but like it's spraying out.
I don't know. Maybe it's just like where I am in life, but like I just like when they fucking go for it though and do shit like that. Like I just kind of want to see it. Like I'm not going for like everything has to be super realistic.
Yeah, I can understand that. It's just like everything else in this movie's kind of going realistic.
Yeah, like it's Ridley Scott. He's insane. So,
but I will. It's a Ridley Scott movie. He tries his best to make medieval France look pretty.
Yeah,
I think in the end it's medieval France, so everything's all muddy and dead.
All right, Sam, do you have any other? Before I get started on mine.
No, you can take it from here.
All right. Sam, I agree with you. Very much so. First of all, this is a 2.5 hour movie. You have this, for the most part, the same story told 3 times. To the point where I was watching it in bed last night, and my wife turned to me when the part 2 started, and she goes, "You already saw this scene." I'm like, yeah, I know, but like it's a little different. It's like after the first story, I was like, all right, Matt Damon's a little incompetent. Driver is really creepy, and I think he raped the girl. And it seems like she's got a level head. And then Adam Driver's story happened, and I was like, oh, all right. So, yeah, everything I believed is confirmed. And then the third story is the good story that I actually enjoyed, where it shows like what she was doing while Matt Damon was off fighting and doing all this stuff, like actually interesting things, being like, oh, he couldn't upkeep his quote unquote kingdom, like he wasn't having people pay taxes. He like they accidentally got the horse pregnant with the wrong male horse. Like the guy's so incompetent, and like, you know, the crops are failing because he refuses to use the horses, but the horses are starving. Like, he's so incompetent. But, like, Adam Driver is super creepy, and after the Adam Driver thing happened, I was like, oh, he totally raped her. Like, 100%. I didn't need her side of the story to, like, come to that conclusion.
That's... To me, that's, like, that's, like, the only thing that I think is, like, especially... It happens so late in the movie too that like you're like, oh, we're gonna have to watch this again.
Yeah,
and like I said, it's not like the first time through it, it's pretty bad, you know.
Yeah. Like it's definitely rape. Like it's
and if you ever use the line, "Do I look like the kind of guy who has to rape people?" You've definitely raped that person.
Oh, 100%.
That's the line you use. Like, maybe you didn't rape that person, but you have raped someone, or in the future you will rape someone.
I enjoyed the line when he's explaining it to Affleck, and Affleck's like, "Ooh, yeah, well, just deny." The common mind is just this like gesture with his hands. I don't know. I feel like I really just love the Affleck side. But anyway, sorry.
Affleck felt so out of place in this movie.
Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed him. It was just like, you're in the wrong movie.
Oh, yeah. He was so out of place in this entire movie. Like, his character did not fit with this movie. It was so weird. and like the horribly dyed eyebrows. I couldn't get over that either. Like, why is he bleach blonde? Like, come on. Like,
That's going to be my new look, by the way.
oh, okay. Just
It's
the bowl cut,
2022.
but with the mullet in the back. That
Bleach
like,
blonde.
John, we may have to stop being friends.
I don't know. Like this movie, I guess if it was like a mini series where each episode was somebody else's point of view, I think it could have worked. But for a 2.5-hour movie where like 80% of it is the same story over and over and over 3 times, it's kind of annoying. And by the time it got to the good story, the one that that is probably the strongest story and like I like the most, I was so far done with this movie. I could not stand watching this movie anymore. Luckily, Chris, like you said, that duel at the end was great. I loved the duel at the end. But the problem was trying to make my way through the rest of that story that slowed everything down to a crawl, where we just had to keep going back and like talk about plot points that have been talked about 2 times already. Let's do it again. Like it annoyed the crap out of me. And like I struggled getting through this movie. I literally struggled. Like so many times I had to just stop it and be like, I can't do this. This sucks. And I think the worst part too is the fact that like Ridley Scott, after this, did not do well in the box office. Went out and was like, the reason why it didn't do well is because of those millennials connected to their cell phones. They're the reason why this didn't do well. No, maybe try like actually putting together like a good film, Ridley Scott. Like, don't do something like this. Like, if this was one solid story beginning to end, I think I would have enjoyed it because there's a good story there. The fact that it's broken up into 3 parts was the worst decision. This was horrible, and it pissed me off.
The movie was horrible, or that decision was horrible?
That decision was horrible because there's a good story here. There really is. Splitting it and telling the same story 3 times in a 2.5-hour movie? No, don't do that. That is way too long of a movie to do that.
Even as somebody who liked the 3-way perspective, I would agree with you, Sean, that probably like 80-20, there was probably a better way of doing it versus that.
Yeah. There's got to be a better way to do, like, because there is a good story here. Don't get me wrong. There's a very good story here. But the way that it is told, the way that it was written, the way it was, like, everything was done, no, it was not well, from top to bottom, it was not well done. And why? It pisses me off. This is France. Why, Ridley Scott, does every time you do a movie, everyone has to have a British accent? Even the American actors have British accent.
They sang a French
granted,
song there.
Granted, but why did everybody have a British accent?
Dude.
Like it just
we're getting into like semantics here. Like,
No, I
But I
understand.
think that's
Native
just
Americans, John Wayne. You know.
Yeah,
it's just,
I mean, why do they have a British accent in Game of Thrones, like, or Lord of the Rings?
No,
Like,
but
that's
but
just
because they're British
what we're-
actors. Like why are granted
But
it's
not
in
Peter
France,
James, I mean-
but like these are American. There's a lot of American actors doing fake British accents and noticeably fake. And like, what the hell is going on?
has anybody seen
It's not unique.
the
to
Great
Ridley
Wall?
Scott.
No.
Has anybody seen the Great Wall?
No, thank God.
No.
Okay, this is exactly what what's his face
Cluzo.
Matt Damon did
Yeah. Like why?
with his accent.
Why?
Like this is 100% what he did.
Yeah, his work's probably the least. I like that Affleck kind of doesn't even try to do an accent
Yeah, he's
among everybody.
Yeah, he didn't. He didn't. Can we give this numbers now? Can we move on? I feel like we're
Let's do it.
moving.
The only last note I have is like, do we ever see the sun in this movie? I don't think.
Yes,
we do.
yes, we do. That's another thing that annoyed the crap out of me. The whole movie is like dark and dreary and gray until the very end, where they show the sun, like the child
right.
at the very end. The most
In
pointless
fairness,
scene.
it was the Middle Ages. Like everybody was depressed.
Oh, I know, but like that
Even
that
the Earth
scene
was depressed.
The plague
that-
was
that
floating
scene-
around.
Yeah.
that scene at the end where it shows the kid like playing in the grass and her smiling, and for some reason there's like a 20-second slowed down version of her tilting her head and smiling for 20 seconds. Like, what the hell was that scene all about?
Yeah, you'd think they
What
would
was
have
the
like
point?
indicated whose father it was, but nope.
No, that whole scene was so pointless. Watching the kid walk through the grass, fall down, and kind of, and then her just smile and like hold on her for 20 seconds as we slow down the film to the point where I think there's a bird that flies by and is like super weird and fuzzy flying by because you can see something flying by and it's slowed down.
It should have ended with them riding out, like
I agree.
getting all the praise.
I agree.
And her just kind of being in the background. Yeah, it should have ended that way.
Yeah, that's how it should have ended, and then cut to the title cards where it says, he died in the Crusades. She stayed unmarried.
Gave birth
That's fine.
to two, I forget, how many kids she had. Either way.
Yeah, but like that's the end of this. Why you had to have that scene where it's the only scene in the whole goddamn movie where the sun is out, there's green grass, blue sky, and everybody's happy. Like, no, that scene should not exist in this movie.
All right, let's see. Let's give this numbers here.
All right,
John.
This is my number 5 of the year. Oh no, wait. Maybe it was 6. I don't know. It was up there for me.
yeah.
Yeah, it was number 6. I'm gonna give this a. Actually, I think I might have already rated it.
You did already rate it.
Did he?
I
Or
went-
what is
I went-
it?
Was it an 8.3?
Nope, you gave it an 8.5.
I feel like it's a little high now, but okay. Let's stick with that.
All right, Sam.
All right,
6-2.
Sean.
Oh,
like 6-1.
Oh, yeah, there it is. All right, I'm giving this an 8.
wait, what did you give Tender Bar?
Me?
7, 8.
7, 8.
Yeah, he was the high one on Tender Bar.
All right. Anyway,
Yeah, give me a feel-good
All right.
movie.
let's talk about the real shit though.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Boba Fett.
We had an installment of a show nominally titled Book of Boba Fett.
But yet Boba Fett never showed up. He was mentioned
Correct.
once.
It was the return of our favorite. Yeah, I'll say favorite.
Star Wars character?
Star Wars character, bounty hunter, man in a mask.
I would say our favorite character created post the Disney merger.
I would say post Jedi, even.
I'd venture to say Star Wars character ever. But then again,
Oh, okay.
Cad Bane
No.
is my number 1. So.
Yeah, but like, do you know how many people like Han Solo, Chewbacca, Luke Skywalker?
Please.
Like, no, it.
Bunch of
I mean,
pussies.
people weren't. Okay, so the reaction of this episode with Mando showing up compared to Luke showing up in the last episode of season 2, like, look at the comparison. People love Luke.
Can I pose this question now?
Sure.
Is this a case of, and I don't think it's this one. Is this a case of let's go back to the character that we love in order to make fans watch Boba Fett more? I don't think it's that.
No.
Or is this let's introduce this, let's just have one episode of Mando so that way we understand what's going on in the meantime to progress the Boba Fett story further?
I honestly think that we were lied to this whole time, and then this is actually season 3 of Mando.
Right. But also sort of not, because he
Right.
hasn't been in half of it.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
a hard to explain
Yeah.
concept.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
And
like,
you know, as my friend Ben says, the common mind doesn't really grasp.
Well, when you watch this episode, every second you're watching the show, you're like, well, now they figured it out. Let's just skip Boba Fett and do the Mando.
right.
That's
but like,
that's what when you're watching it. That's exactly what you're
yeah.
thinking.
The problem is all this stuff was filmed beforehand, and
Yeah,
they didn't
yeah.
think that was be the
Exactly.
problem.
Exactly.
My,
What do you mean? What do you mean film beforehand?
Like,
Like,
this
it's
is the
not like-
season.
yeah.
Like, the season is done.
They-
This is
they
it.
film-
This is
yeah.
how
Oh,
it's
yeah.
presented.
This was their plan from the beginning. It's not that they were like, "Oh crap, the first like 2,
Oh, man,
3
we need a
episodes,
Mando."
yeah, we need Mando. Let's do a Mando episode." It's not like that because the production cost is too high. You can't do that. So
Oh, no,
this was the
Well,
plan from the
my
beginning.
my feeling of what happened with this episode was they always expected Mando to show up, and they were like, okay, but like, what's Mando been doing this whole time? And Filoni and Favreau just started brainstorming, and it went way overboard, and they were like, fuck it, let's just film it. Like,
No way. No way.
no,
This was
yeah, no.
planned to a T.
Yeah.
This whole thing, because there's so much content in this. What was a 50-minute episode? There's so much content in there.
yeah, I'm telling you, they
just-
ran away with them, and they were like, this is just way too much.
I feel
don't-
like
I don't wanna
I
say-
feel like
off
they
screen.
wanted to make. I feel like they wanted to make a third season, but they were like, it's gonna be weird if it's Mando and like there's no Grogu left or whatever. Like they wanted to put a gap between that.
Right.
There
And
should
they
be.
were like, oh, what if we do this stuff with Boba Fett
Yeah.
or something like that?
Let's tie in Boba Fett somehow, but like I don't want him to be like the secondary storyline. Let's make him the primary storyline, so we don't have to connect the dots too much with Din Djarin, where it's like what happens after Luke Skywalker shows up to when we see him on essentially one of the Halos from
I
Halo.
forgot he had a name.
Yeah,
I always forget.
they
his
say
name.
it in this episode too.
So what I felt watching this was honestly not a feeling I'd even had since like Mandalorian started. Like I legitimately, if we're just gonna lump this all in as one story, I think this is like a top 2 or 3 episode. Just
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
because, and look, does it have to do with the Mandalorian coming back? Sure, but in reality, to me, this episode really had what's been lacking in Boba Fett, and even as much as I want to admit it, like a good chunk of Mando, like season 2, where to coin a term, I'm gonna call it like the mise en Star Wars, the like everything just going on that Star Warsy shit in the background, like the stuff you take for granted, the stuff that's like not even really based with the plot or whatever, was so much better than anything else that we've seen like recently with both shows. Like, I loved the like space ring. I loved, and maybe part of it was just like, hey, we're not on Tatooine anymore, which visually talking is like so fucking boring. It's a goddamn desert. There's sand. We get it. This is like, oh, we're in a space station, a giant space ring, which I just always find those to be pretty cool for some reason. You know, there's this whole new world. We're dealing with new people. Like, we're thrown into it. You know, like, we go to this, like, weird space club restaurant thing, and, like, there's a whole scene there. There's just so much, like, just to, like, feast your eyes on. And then we get all these Darksaber, like physics that I think are really more explored here than they were previously. And, like, oh, because, like, I kind of, like, understood what a Darksaber is now versus before. And, you know, I thought the whole, like, you know, reuniting with the Mando clan was good. Which is awesome. And then even bringing back the Star Wars, the Naboo fighter. Like, all those scenes bring up some, like, pod racing vibes. You know, I think the prequels are kind of, like, shit on because the plot's okay. The dialogue's not very good. There's a lot of CGI. Like, it kind of looks shitty. But, like, all of the, like, also kind of background stuff, like, the way, like, certain, like, ships are designed and stuff like that, the, like, you know, overall, like, the Naboo starfighter looks pretty cool, and we kind of just, like, had that at the end of episode 1, never come back to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you see it briefly at the beginning of episode 2,
Right.
and then it's like, and that's it.
Yeah.
And
But to get
they
that whole scene of him just flying it, I thought
yeah.
that was great.
Oh,
and
yeah.
we never, like, see anything like that, and it's like, it's a space show.
Do you
And
guys
then just, like,
do you
little
guys-
things to... Oh, one last thing. Like, even, like, little things of, like, the, you know, the thing with, like, the Rhodian kid on the space freighter or whatever the hell it is. Like, you know, I just thought it was phenomenal, and like it was so much better than like most of the last two shows have been.
Do you guys agree with my text when I said they just sold like 40 million toys and Legos just by this one episode?
For what though?
The Starfighter, the Naboo Starfighter. Jesus, how do you not expect that to be done into like a hot toy or a model or a Star Wars Lego toy?
It's
like,
a
how
nice.
do you not expect that to be done?
It's a nice throwback, but I don't think people are like going nuts, being like, "I need that." Like the Razor Crest. The Razor Crest was cool.
Yeah, but
this is just,
like I can't imagine this thing is not going to sell like hotcakes.
That's it. That's if they have it, and that's if he keeps it for very long.
Well,
this might be a 2-episode thing. Like shit.
I think it's
like he
stay
said.
around.
Like he said, he'll return it when she gets access to a Razor Crest, which is
guess.
Yeah. This for a bounty hunter. This is not the best ship.
No,
because
no.
Where
okay.
are you going to keep your bounty?
Agreed. Good.
You put him in the
Agreed.
astromech place.
Good like that.
Yeah.
Well, you can't kryptonite. You can't put them in crypto then, or carbonite. Yeah.
Carbonite. Kryptonite.
Look. I'm gonna go, Sean. The best thing about this, and I'm agreeing with you entirely. Like this is probably top 5 of all of Mando and Fett combined. This is way better than the prequels, but we already discussed that. The best thing about this is, and I don't know if Sean you can agree, because when you watch all of the Clone Wars, and I've watched it through probably a dozen times.
Mm-hmm.
These guys, these two, Filoni and Favreau, have like cherry picked perfectly the information that needs to come from the show into this live action show in such a way that it is the perfect amount of information and the perfect story to come out that people can understand in such a way that they don't have to watch the Clone Wars. Because all of the stuff that they discussed, all of it, and I'm talking about the first half of the episode, all of the stuff that they discussed on that ring station was the most pertinent information of everything that happened in Clone Wars regarding Mandalore and all that lore and stuff like that. There was granted, there were, 20-something episodes for Mandalore, but all of the stuff they just said is essentially the baseline of what you can build, what appears to be what the story of the Mandalorian is going to be next season.
Yeah.
Like
it's
going to be
him returning to Mandalore.
Saber, yeah, Darksaber, and him returning to Mandalore, getting involved with, or essentially clashing with, what the hell is her name? Bo-Katan.
Mm-hmm.
and you still get, and it's funny because you still get like I think his name was Tar Vizsla, voiced by Jon Favreau, who voiced the leader of the Death Watch in the TV show pre-Vizsla. Like, you don't get that kind of... you don't get that without really sitting down and saying, this is what we want to do, this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
And it was just such a perfect callback that you have millions of people who love this show, and then you get this smaller portion where I just love the fact that he was a Vizsla, and he was voiced by Jon Favreau. At first, I thought he was the guy who led the Death Watch. At first, I thought it was him, but come to find out, it was not him. But still, like that, that is like perfect to me.
Chris, who was Favreau voicing? The guy he kills at the beginning?
No, the
other
person
Mandalorian.
of the Covenant, the like third person of the Covenant, not the armorer, but the big guy, the big Mandalorian.
That's Jon Favreau.
That's Jon Favreau.
Is it? Okay.
Yes.
So
no
which
idea.
he was in the season 1 too. That character.
Right.
Yeah, he was in season 1 as well for Mandalorian, but he was also in the TV show, the Clone Wars. But he was like the leader of the Death Watch, who had the Darksaber. He was like the guy who wanted to take over Mandalore from Bo-Katan and her family. Like that was the show. A lot of the season was that portion.
It was what the last season.
it was not
second
the
to last
one,
and,
but it was like the second. Yeah.
It was second to last, and
towards the
then
end.
they kind of touched upon it in the last season as well.
Exactly. So, but granted, it's not the same guy.
Right. No, it's not the same character, but the same voice actor.
But it was the fact that it was the same voice, and it's just like, it's not even... It doesn't hurt the story at all. It doesn't progress it forward at all. But it's just like this little callback that people who watch the show is like, this is what we live for. This is what we live for.
It's nice. It just like gives you like a little smile, like just out of nowhere.
This whole episode, I've never watched Boba Fett a second time. Every Mandalorian episode I've watched twice in the same day, back to back.
Wow.
This one I watched twice back to back. And Boba Fett is not that
All right.
show.
So, a little bit of news came out about Boba Fett, the show, recently. Temuera Morrison, the guy who plays Boba Fett, is gone on record and said the biggest flaw with this show is Boba Fett talks too much. It's kind of true. Shouldn't talk that much. That's kind of, I touched upon it like a few weeks ago, how like Boba Fett's a one-liner guy and like it needs to be that way, but at the same time, like it sucks that that's like that. Anyway,
takes his helmet off too much.
He does. However, what Morrison has said is that Favreau wrote all these lines for Boba Fett, and Morrison tried getting rid of all these lines, and every time Favreau would leave to go film whatever else he's working on, he was like, hey, I'm just going to axe all these lines, okay? Like, Favreau's not here. This isn't something Boba Fett would do. And people were like, he's going to get mad if you don't do it. So, like, I don't blame Temuera Morrison for what Boba Fett is. I kind of blame Favreau for what it's become right now. And
But how do you know that? How do you know that what he's... Well, I don't know how they come out in edits, but how do you know that? Because, like, I've trust Filoni and Favreau with this stuff.
I do.
And they've proven me correct.
I do, too, but, like, you literally have the guy who's been playing this character for better part of 20 years coming out, and people confirming it.
Well,
but Boba Fett has quite literally, his whole character and fan base for the past 40 years has been based on 2 lines.
Right, but you also have to remember he played Jango Fett for an entire movie.
Oh, please.
Then he also played the voice of all the clones in, like, Battlefront 2, and, I mean, he didn't do it in the Clone Wars, but, like, for the most part, a lot of video games he's played the voice of the clones.
But, so, to get back to the show, there was a moment early on in this show that, like, I was like, okay, this is why I like Mando and not Boba Fett. And it's in that first fight scene in the meat locker when he takes out the Darksaber and immediately cuts himself with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
like, he's not trained with it.
He's not a badass.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's intimidating. Yeah, he knows his way around a fight, but he's not a perfect badass.
Yeah.
Like,
he's not proficient in every weapon. Like, you're so used to, like, to bring up, like, something we brought up earlier, like Master Chief from Halo, how he can literally pick up any weapon and he knows exactly how to use it, except for the SMG. But that's a different story. That's just a little critique I have for Halo 2. Sucks. But no, like, it's nice that, like, he's not just picking up the Darksaber and being like, I'm an unstoppable force. Ah, ha, 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 ha. But the part of this episode that, like, made me cry is, like, when they melted down the spear. And he's like, what do you want to do with the Beskar? And he's like, I want to give it to a foundling. But a specific foundling.
As soon as he said, I want to give this to a foundling, I was just like, yes, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get Baby Yoda and Mandalorian.
In chainmail? You're going to get Baby Yoda in chainmail.
I don't know.
I don't care, all right?
I don't care. I don't know what it's going to be. It could be chainmail. I don't know. But, like, the fact that he's like, I want to give this to Grogu. And they're like, all right. And then she works on it. But then she ties it in, like, a little, like, bag. And it's in the shape of Grogu. Because it's, like, the knot with the 2 ears coming out. And it's like, he looks at it from time to time. And he's like, oh, Grogu, like, I miss you.
Look.
It's like, oh man, and at the end of this episode where he's like, oh yeah, I'll help you guys free of charge. I just gotta go visit somebody real quick. It's like,
Look.
oh, he's gonna go visit Grogu.
I don't know if this is the same case with you guys, but this one episode of just The Mandalorian has given us such a story arc for The Mandalorian than anything with Boba Fett.
I agree.
Because
there's
it's
a
just,
lot.
It tells you where Mandalorian's gonna go.
Yeah.
He's conflicted with his coven, and he's gonna clash with that. You've already proven that, and he's essentially got kicked out, and he's decided he's gonna go see Grogu, and she already told him that they have to sacrifice, all Jedis have to sacrifice all contact, but that's not the way of the Mandalorians. So it's just like you've got more story arc. Granted, because maybe because we've had 2 full seasons of Mandalorian, but like you've had more happenings in this hour than you've had in the first 4 hours.
Yeah.
Of
And
Boba Fett?
I don't think that is quite the character's fault or the actor's fault. I just feel like Filoni and Favreau were like, we need to do a Boba Fett TV show. It has to be done. But they didn't have a solid storyline, like, figured out. And you can kind of tell that...
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't
No,
think so.
they don't have it. There's no story there.
I think that's what the limitation is. And, I mean, I think Boba Fett as a character is, like, there's nothing to, like, latch onto, really. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's just very tough. But I see this, and I'm just like, why can't I just get this every week?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know if, like, the budget for this one was any more or less, given what it is, but, like, I'm just left, like, so just satisfied with this versus everything else before. And it's just, I'm just always struck, too, how Star Wars fluent Filoni and Favreau are. Like, I could just watch this and it just seems to click and it's like, oh, they get it. Mm-hmm. But also, then we also had the same, previous 4 episodes of Boba. So yeah. I just find that hard to square, like, how we can get both.
Like I said, I think they rushed into the Boba Fett story without having a set plan. Like, they understand the material, they know how to execute it, but with Boba Fett, they just had no idea. They had no plan set in place, and
I was gonna say, I think the problem, and I hope you agree with me. I think the problem with Boba Fett is they limit him to not necessarily Tatooine, but the concept of being a Hutt.
Yeah, I don't like. I don't like
that's
that
the problem with him. I think he would do best off world.
I was actually thinking about this over the past week. And Sean, you remember the game Bounty Hunter on the GameCube?
Yeah.
And how, like, that had, like, a noir-esque, like, feel to it, where it's like you're going around collecting bounties, but there's also this underworld conspiracy going on and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you're in, like, the back alleys of Coruscant and other planets and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, why can't we get that show?
Right, I agree.
Like him being a bounty hunter, but it's kind of got like a noir-esque vibe to it, and there's like a mystery going on.
Like
we can see like different planets and stuff, or just even Coruscant, because there's just so much there, and we never go there.
Like it was previously stated. Seriously, why are they making him a Hutt, and why is he taking over Tatooine? I would rather him try to create like the bounty hunter guild, because it's essentially what he's trying to do. Like, he's sick and tired of the people who hire out these bounty hunters or assassins and just like sending them on suicide missions and not caring about them. And like, people die all the time, but who cares? Like, they're expendable. Like, why can't Boba Fett get other bounty, like Cad Bane could show up, like Bosk.
Rumors galore. If Cad Bane shows up, I'm gonna freak out.
Right, but like, if you go into a bounty hunters guild, type scenario where he's going around trying to, put together a team essentially. Like, it far more interesting than what we got. And you can still throw in all the Sand People stuff, all the Tusken Raider story about how he went from the Sarlacc pit to Mandalorian. You can still include all that stuff. But the present day stuff, he can go to different planets. He can see different people. But instead, you're stuck on the desert planet. That's the same everything, every episode. And it kind of sucks.
I wonder if part of it, too, is just that so much of the show is, like, centered on him when, like, we're going to stick to these, like, 30-minute, 40-minute-ish formats. Like, wouldn't it be great, like, what you were just sort of describing, Sean, is, like, if you had all these, like, colorful personalities of all these, like, bounty hunters around him.
Yeah.
And, like, that's the show. And he might be, like, a focal point, but there's all these other things going on in the background. And, I don't think Fennec, what's her last name?
Fennec Shand.
Fennec
Yeah.
Sand. I don't think she doesn't really do it for me either. Like, she's just kind of like, oh, tough girl, which, like, okay, yeah, sure. But, like, there's nothing, like, really compelling there. Whereas, you're right, if you stick him, like, in a bounty hunter guild, like, that sounds way cooler than the show we just got.
Like, because especially since the storyline that we have is just him putting together, like, a crime syndicate, essentially, and, like, he doesn't have anybody around him. He has 2 Gamorrean guards. He has Fennec. He has, he has a Wookiee now.
I'm also not entirely sure what he's criming.
Right. Like,
what's
I know
he criming about. Like,
I know the Pikes are a big deal, and I know that he wants to get rid of the Pikes because of reasons. But, like, at the same time, why do you want to get rid of the Pikes? I mean, you're Boba Fett. Like, just go ape shit, like you did in that episode of The Mandalorian. Like, just beat the living shit out of them, scare them off. Like, you are Boba Fett. That name alone is supposed to scare people off. Like, supposedly. You don't get that at all in this show. Nobody cares that he's Boba Fett. But, like, even in the movies, like, it's kind of a big name. Like, oh no, Boba Fett. Like, this show, there's none
by
of that.
Han Solo.
Well, yeah, on Cloud City and
He's a bounty hunter.
Yeah,
it's just all it is.
Yeah, and he's kind of has a big bounty on his head. So, like, yeah, you're going to be kind of scared of bounty hunters. But, like, you get none of that, and this show has. I wanted this show to be different. I'm happy it's turning into season 3 of Mando.
We could all be eating our hats by the end of this. Like, at the end of this, they could all be going off-world, and he has...
Doesn't matter.
Bounty hunter guild.
But I think
it doesn't matter.
Everybody gets candy.
I think those first 4 episodes, though, are still just
the damage has been done.
We could.
I hate... No.
I mean,
nope.
I'm not going to lie. I'm like, I got a mild satisfaction that Boba Fett is kind of just being, like, gut punched down to a level where it's acceptable for his role in all the movies that we've seen him in ever. But I'm, like, kind of disappointed that the show isn't as good as it should be.
No. Like I said,
they could have just, like, started the show here and then done, like, a Boba Fett flashback bottle episode of all the Tusken Raider stuff.
That's what, like, I like the Tusken Raider stuff. That stuff I
think it was fine.
It's just all the him trying to put together the crime syndicate. Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
That
the
story's
best part was, like, the lore of him becoming freaking Tusken Raider.
Yeah.
That's the best part of the season.
Yeah, it really has been. All the flashbacks, the in-between Sarlacc pit to Mandalorian, that stuff has been the strongest part of this entire show.
I hate to say it, but it just reminds me of Arrow. Like, the first season of Arrow, the best part was the flashbacks. And then once the second season, the actual live current day stuff was good, but it just keeps reminding me of that.
Yeah. No, and it just comes back to that. I feel like Favreau and Filoni had the basis of an idea, but not a solid idea, and they just went with it anyways. And it's kind of disappointing. I would consider this kind of a failure of a show, unless, like, thank goodness the Mandalorian showed up.
It might all change.
Yeah.
I think there's
Yeah.
3 left, right?
I think
It might be
yeah.
salvaged.
I hope it is. I really hope it is because once again,
I feel
Boba Fett's I have my shelf of Boba Fett stuff, and like I love Boba Fett. He's my favorite character, and this show does not do him the justice that myself feels that he should get, and it sucks. It hurts in a way.
I feel like it's I feel like we've turned a corner here.
I will say this about this show. This show is really selling me on Bryce Dallas Howard as a director.
Yes. I was
Yeah,
just gonna
she
say
directed
She did
this
this
episode.
one.
She is. What was the one she did the second season? The first one was that like
Yeah.
weird like Seven Samurai kind of.
Yeah, where
Where
it's
they
like
have to
Jurassic
fight the
Parky
AT-AT,
too.
or ATST.
I think she
Yeah.
did. Yeah, I think she.
What was
did.
the
then
second
she
season?
did-
What did she do in the second
No, I think she did
Frog
the
Lady.
Was that the ice one?
No.
No.
I thought that was the duel with Sokatano.
Was it
Was
that
it
one?
the
I thought it was
Ahsoka
the
Tano
I thought it was the Bo-Katan episode.
Oh, it was the Sokatano. Hold on. Chapter 11, the heiress.
Yeah,
season? Okay, so
that was okay.
yeah, but like the first season and then this one,
Yeah,
really
This one
good.
is Bo-Katan, yeah.
yeah. So
It's selling me on her. So
yeah, I agree.
Right? I was
agree.
thoroughly impressed by it.
like I
this
saw
episode.
her name at the end. I was like, all right.
I know.
This
yeah.
granted, it could have just been the fact that we've seen Mando in a show that's been kind of mediocre,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like this influx of just we're reminding you of everything that's great with Star Wars currently over the past 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, even
All right.
then, but like there was also that like one shot where he like goes and meets with the person he's getting the bounty for. And you just have the camera kind of panning around the room, and then he goes
Was
back.
that is that filmed in a one shot?
It certainly set it up like a one shot. I don't know if it was an actual one shot, but
Well, no, you know what I mean. Like,
yeah.
It's like the Daredevil fight scene. It's supposed to be one shot,
But it's not really. But it's
Yeah.
1917 sort of deal.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All
like I
right.
thought that was a pretty cool scene. Yep.
Any final thoughts?
No.
We should definitely wrap
At
it
this-
up.
at
This is
this
a long
point, like-
episode.
At this point, though, I hate to say it, but I'm like hooked on Boba Fett, but it's just more or less by default because of this
Agreed.
I'm
Mandalorian.
hooked on Mandalorian. You're just
Yeah, I'm hooked on Mandalorian season 3.
It's just Boba Fett is a Mandalorian delivery device right now.
I mean, truthfully, this could go like complete different direction where he asks Boba Fett to come with him to Mandalore to like rebuild the planet and stuff. Like,
Yeah. We'll see.
Honestly,
or ask him
I
to be
kind of
part
hope
of
he
the
does.
cohort, or ask him to be part of the cohort. You know, like
Yeah.
I can see
I'm,
this
like,
going
good
so
with-
many directions.
I'm good with Boba Fett showing up like 2 more times in random Mando episodes, but never like more than an episode at a time.
Yeah, you can't have a full episode of Boba Fett in the Mandalorian TV show.
Yeah. He's going to be like, I don't know, who's like the MCU where it's like, I don't want a movie with him, but like when he shows up, it's pretty fun. It's like a Doctor Strange kind of type.
Or like a Cheetle.
Don Cheadle, yeah.
Oh, don't
People
talk,
like Cheadle.
dude.
People
I
like
love
Cheadle in that. Yeah. It just never really did anything for me.
Yeah.
I love War Machine, but then again, one of my favorite comic book characters. So
That's true. All right. Any final thoughts, guys?
no, we're hooked. Two episodes left from.
It is officially 2.
and we'll just
Wow.
we'll talk about it at the finale.
Oh man, I forgot to drop my 4-letter review of this episode, which was also my intro. Is "This is the way."
Yeah.
That's just everybody else when they talk about Mando.
All right. Well,
I can't remember ever though, like having just an episode just come out of nowhere and being like, oh yeah, that's right. This show is actually pretty good. I forgot why.
yeah, it's an odd feeling. It's a nice feeling, though.
Because even then, it broke up the, like, I remember I was talking about, like, going through, like, the first or second episode of this where it's like, oh, yeah, you talk to an alien, you fight a bigger, weirder alien, and then that's the episode. And, like, even this kind of, like, broke that up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
didn't stick by that kind of formula. So,
Well,
All right, we're good.
all right. Well, on that note, you can find us on Stitcher, iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, Facebook, facebook.com/Knights of Nerdatude. Leave us a review. Let us know if there's any movies or TV shows that you would like us to review. And stay tuned next week when we do our movie list. And the Oscars are coming up soon. So that means Sam and I will be doing our Oscar wags like we do every year. So stay tuned for that. Until next time.
Bye.